However, there is something right here, these 3 dots right here, where you do have the ability, but you have to do this every single time you post. If you want the most important thing to stay at the top, you do have the ability to click move to top. So you'll see it says moving to top, post move to top. I go all the way up, and that's the first thing you'll see. But every time you post something, it's gonna push it back down. So you'll have to go and manually move it back to the top. So the last thing that we want to tell you about the stream is that every single time you post something to your stream or you assign something in classwork, which is what we're going to talk about next, your student will receive an email to their student Google account. So every single time. So there is absolutely no reason for you to be trying to email all of your students on top of this, because they will get an email every time you post. So if we can train our students to be very close to either their Google Classroom or their emails, they will be very up to date. Okay, so we're moving on to classwork next. Okay, great. So the next thing we're talking about is this tab called classwork right here. So I'm gonna click classwork. And it's just taking a minute. There we go. Okay, classwork is where you are going to post all of your resource materials and all of your assignments. So the first thing that we're going to show is how to post a resource material. So like many of you, I'm sure that you have, or like myself, like many of you, I'm sure you have PowerPoints that you teach from. So let's just say I wanted to include my Chapter 7 PowerPoint for my entrepreneurship class. I'm going to click Create, and then I'm going to click Material. Now we want to make sure that we're clicking Material and not Assignment, because we don't want to assign a PowerPoint where they're just going through and gaining knowledge. We want to make sure that we leave that as a material so it's easy for them to reference.
Right, so I think the difference between material and assignment is material is just content that you want them to have, versus an assignment is something that you intend on giving a grade for, and them having to actually do something in return for a grade. So material would not be something that you would use for a grade.
Perfect. So in hard copy speak, material is like a textbook and assignment is like a worksheet. I'm not going to try and grade the textbook. So we're going to go ahead and add material, and I'm going to show you how to add a material from your computer. So some of you may keep your materials in your My Documents or on your desktop or in file folders. This is where this is how you can access that material. So I'm going to say Chapter 7 PowerPoint for the title of what I'm posting. For the description, this is where you can just give a general description of make sure you review all the slides in the attached PowerPoint. Whatever you feel needs to help your student understand what the goal of the material is. So I'm going to click Add with my paperclip right here. And since I'm going to find something that's living on my computer and not in Google Drive, I'm going to click File. So from here, I'm now going to click Select Files from your device. So I'm going to click this button. And now I'm going to go and look for the file that I need. So if your file is on your desktop, then you would click this desktop. If your file is in your My Documents, you click your My Documents. In your downloads, wherever your file lives, you're going to be finding that folder here on the left. So I keep mine somewhere else. Don't worry about how I'm accessing my file, but I know I have a lot of files. I know I'm going to get comments on this. It's okay. And eventually I got there, hooray. So I have my Chapter 7 PowerPoint. So I'm gonna go ahead and double click that. And you can see that it's already been added here. If I wanted to add more files, I could, but I don't wanna add more files currently. So now I'm gonna click Upload. So it used to be in Google Classroom where if you uploaded a PowerPoint, when the student opened what you uploaded, it would maybe not transfer as well, or a Microsoft Word document or a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. However, they've really advanced a lot, And just to show you what it looks like from the student view, I'm going to click on this. And now, as far as the slideshow goes, if I update it with, or if I'm in PowerPoint, it's going to show like a slideshow here. So I can go through and they can look through all of this. So I would definitely recommend clicking on your attachment to make sure you can see what the students are going to see and make sure that everything attached the way that you wanted it to attach. So I'm going to X out of this, and it brings me right back to where I was.
I'm going to show them how to add material from multiple classes at one time. So they don't have to do this if they have multiple
Absolutely.
sections.
So let's just say that I am creating this for my, I was saying advertising earlier, now it's entrepreneurship. So let's say I have multiple periods of entrepreneurship classes. So I've got first, second, third, fourth period entrepreneurship classes. I only have to do this one time as long as I have all of those Google Classrooms set up. So the first thing you really want to do is set up all your Google Classrooms for all your classes before you ever start assigning work. So now if I come over to this right-hand side, currently it says 1, insert class name here. That was what we named my class. But this is all the classes I teach. So if I wanted it to be in my second, my fourth, my fifth, and my sixth period classes, all I have to do is check. And it will automatically post to all of those Google Classrooms. So I can just click off over here once I've finished checking all of the classes. And then I can click post. Now I'm not going to because I don't want my students to actually do that. So hold on, uncheck all that. You do not have to do this. You would not uncheck. I'm just doing it because I don't want my social media marketing kids to get confused. So now that I'm only sending it to my one class, I'm going to click post. So you'll see that in my classwork, I now have this little kind of book with a bookmark hanging over it icon, which means material. So I now have a material in my classwork, and if I click on it, that's where I can see my instructions and my material, and I can then click on it from here and go through my resource.
Also, the students will more than likely see this material pop up in the stream tab versus them having to go to the classwork tab to find it. Because anything you post, whether it be material or an assignment, will always be updated in the stream. So as soon as they open your Google Classroom, they're going to see Michelle Moore has just posted new material, the Chapter 7 PowerPoint. So you don't have to go back to the stream and create that announcement as well. So no double duty over there.
Yes, no double duty. Amen. Let's get it right the first time and then leave it alone. Okay, so that is how you post a material. So now we're going to show you how to post an assignment. Now again, remember the material is like the textbook and the assignment is like the worksheet. So I'm going to create an assignment. If you have interest in learning about quiz assignments, questions, reuse posts, topics, all of these things that you've seen my mouse hover over, but I haven't talked about, Miss Wilkes and I are very, very knowledgeable in, if I could toot our horns collectively, we are very knowledgeable in all aspects of Google Classroom. So between the two of us, we do know how to do all of these things. If you would like to learn more about how you can implement these things in your class, please show up to our Zoom on Thursday at 2:30 p.m. We are going to go over the basics again, but then we will also go over the more in-depth tools at that time. Okay, so I'm going to click assignment. And for our first assignment, I'm just going to say random assignment. Now, it's very important that you title these not as random assignment, but as a specific assignment that you want your kids to know what they're doing. So I definitely recommend whatever you would put on your agenda that day, that's what the title of the assignment should be. And then for your instructions, you need to give detailed instructions to these kids to the point where you're almost saying, click this and then click this so that they understand exactly what they need to be working on. Because even though almost every single one of our kids has at least one class that is actively on Google Classroom, we know that sometimes they need that extra help and that extra love in instruction giving. So let's make sure that we're not leaving any room for questions, because I'm sure that we want to save our office hours or our tutoring hours for the kids that need help with the tutoring and not kids who just can't access classrooms. Okay, so detailed instructions here on how to complete the assignment. Done. Okay, now from here, I'm gonna take you straight over to the right. And the reason I'm gonna take you straight over to the right is because one of the most important things that you need to make sure you put on here is a due date. Now, we do have a directive from Ms. Shelton as far as how we are going to be handling these due dates. But the reason that I am really encouraging you to put that due date of, Sunday night. So like it's currently, let's just say it's currently this Monday, it's currently Monday the 16th, okay? Which it's not, it's the 17th, but that's fine. Let's say it's currently Monday the 16th, then I would make sure that I put my due date for Sunday the 22nd. So that way I'm giving my students the entire week to complete their assignments. It is unrealistic for us to ask them to complete these in a day. We're not sure about their situations. So we are to be very flexible in our understanding of the way that our students are going to submit assignments and the timeline for which they will submit assignments. However, the directive from the district is that we should essentially be collecting assignments weekly, 2 to 3 assignments weekly, but we give them the week to complete them. So I'm going to click this Sunday, the 22nd, as my due date. Now, of course, your first due date will not be the 22nd. Your first due date will be the 29th, as we are going to start on, the 23rd.
Oh no, I was just also after you get done with the due date, just reiterate the amount of classes that you can put.
Yes, absolutely. So again, no need to recreate the wheel here. We're gonna, I hopped over that and glad she pointed that out. We're gonna click all those same classes that you're gonna be posting the assignment to. So if you have first, second, and fourth period all the same, make sure you select all of those. Okay, so now we have our due date. We're gonna hop back over here. Now this is where I really recommend that you are creating these assignments in a Google-based platform. Meaning, go to this create button right here, and that your assignment is either a doc, a slide, a sheet, a drawing, or a form. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Google terms, Google Docs is the same as Microsoft Word. Now I say the same, I use that term very loosely. It is similar, okay? So Docs is the same as Word, Slides is the same as PowerPoint, Sheets is the same as Excel, Drawings is something close to Publisher / Paint. And then Google Forms, we all should be pretty familiar with Google Forms, as our administrators send out a lot of Google Forms for us to fill out. If you would like more information on Google Forms, come to our Zoom training and we can give you more information there. So we're gonna create a doc, because let's say we're doing a written assignment. So if we create a doc here, through the beauty that is Google, it will take a while to load. Okay, now we're done loading. So on our untitled document, we're going to name this document, and it says you can do it, it's telling you what folder it's going into so that you can find it later. So we can say this is a business plan, company description. Okay. Now anything that I want, so if I'm creating a worksheet, and I want kids to fill in my worksheet, I may want to provide instructions at the top here. So provide instructions for your students to fill out the worksheet. And let's say my question number 1 is, what is your favorite color? My goodness. And question number 2, we're actually gonna go back here. Question number 2 is, what is your favorite food? Okay, so from here, your students have some options. I personally like to streamline the way that my students answer, but you can separate these questions by clicking enter right here. Now notice it messed up my numbering, so if I just click it enter again, it renumbered correctly. So you can just press enter twice, and then your students have space to answer in between the questions. I would recommend doing all your questions first and then pressing enter. That's as much instruction as I'm going to give on creating a worksheet. I'm sure that you guys are all very adept at creating worksheets. So if you do have extra questions, by all means, join the Zoom. So now that I've created this template for my students to answer, I can actually just click X. And I know that gives us all anxiety. Do not worry. This X, because it's Google and it's wonderful, everything will automatically save. So I click X. And now you'll notice it still says untitled document, but that will change. It's going to change the title of the document that I assigned it. Now currently, it says students can view file. When you push out an assignment and it says students can view file, your students will not be able to edit it. I only use students can view file when I am attaching a resource or a worksheet that has all of the instructions. So if you're going to give them detailed instructions in one document and then a template in another document, that's the only time that you would want to say students can view. But for the most part, if it's a worksheet, if it's something you want your students to fill out, you're going to change this from students can view file to make a copy for each student. Now I know your first inclination is to do students can edit file. But if you do students can edit file, that means your entire class will be making changes on the same file. So everyone will be typing over everyone else. You do not want that. For the most part, some teachers may have use for it, but for the most part, you're going to want to click make a copy for each student.
So I think the best way to describe that is make a copy for each student would be like you handing this worksheet to each individual student sitting in a desk.
Yes.
You would not want to give one group of students the same worksheet because then they're all collaborating. So there's use for that, but I think for the most part, we're going to want them to do individual work.
Excellent. Yes, totally agree. So I'm going to click make a copy for each student. And Ms. Wilkes, what are we doing next? Got it. Yes. Great. Okay, so once you're ready to assign this assignment, you're just going to click in this top right-hand corner, assign, and you're good to go. Now, again, that's going to pop up in your classwork. Just taking a second here. And you'll see my first thing I did was I added this material, which has a book with a bookmark. And then the next thing is a clipboard or briefcase, or I don't know, looks like a clipboard. And that random assignment, which again, give it a better name than that. I click that and I can see what I have assigned everyone. I can see that 0 people have turned it in and 0 people have been assigned. The only reason it says 0 and 0 is because if you remember, I currently have no students. So with 0, once the kids start turning things in, this will automatically update. The student presses turn in, you're gonna see assignments showing up and this number grow for your assignments being turned in. We are going to do also a separate training for how to grade assignments in Google Classroom. We just wanted to get this out to you as soon as possible. Grading will come at a later date. So I'm going to create one more assignment. And again, I just want to reiterate what Ms. Wilkes said earlier. If you click over to the stream, you'll see that we are just continuing to bury this post, right? And remember, if we want it to stay on top every single time, we have to click the 3 buttons and click move to top. So now you can see Michelle Moore posted a new material. Michelle Moore posted random assignment. So now we're going to post one more assignment where I show you an example of posting something where it has written directions and a template for students to work on. Both of these I'm going to show you as though they were already uploaded into your Google Drive. So you've already done the work, you've already uploaded in your Google Drive, and you want to know how can you attach this. So we're going to create assignment. Second assignment. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. Detailed instructions here. And now from here, remember, we're going to click all the classes that we want it to be submitted to. We're going to add a due date. And then we're going to come back here, and instead of going to create, we are going to go to add. So remember, if it's already in your Google Drive, all I need to do is go to click Drive. Again, I have a lot of folders. Okay, and I'm gonna add some things from my entrepreneurship class. So I'm going to let's say that this right here is my instructions, and then this right here is my thing that I want my kids to actually fill out. So this is my one sheet page that I give instructions on. So I say, here, read this, but don't edit it because I worked hard on it and I don't want you to mess it up. So that's your quote unquote class copy. Okay, so this will be your class copy, and this will be your worksheet that everybody actually fills out. So I'm going to first upload my class copy instructions. Students can view file. Perfect. I want that. I want them to only be able to view file. Then I'm going to add my instructions, or not my instructions, my worksheet by going to add Google Drive. And we're going to pretend it's this right here because I don't want to have to go take you back through that. So this is my template. Oh, you know what? That was my other thing. So hold on. I have to ignore that. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Okay, so we're going to go back. We're going to find my actual thing. My apologies. Okay, and I said that this would be my actual worksheet. So I'm going to click this. And instead of students can view file, remember I want to pass out a worksheet for every kid to make sure that they fill out and turn back into me. So I'm going to change that to make a copy for each student. And that's it. Once I assign, nothing's frozen. There we go. Once I assign, I'm going to now see it in my second assignment. And you see, I've got my detailed instructions, I've got my instructions, and I've got my copy, I've got my 0 turned in and my 0 assigned.
Anything else? No, just reiterating that has just now posted in the stream again, just like it did when she posted the material she posted earlier. And then also your students, once you have all of your students enrolled, they'll start getting emails more just, you know, assigned this or uploaded this. So it's really important that you add your students first and then start posting things because they might miss that email if they're not already in the class.
So I know I promise you I am guilty. I am the guiltiest guilty of all the guilties. Sometimes when I get a directive, I say, oh yeah, I'm a little bit busy. I'm going to do that later. I feel like we're all pretty bored at home at this point. All I know is I see a lot of videos of people doing nothing. So I really recommend that you try to get this portion, not the assignment portion, but just the setting up of your Google Classroom done by Thursday morning. And the reason I say that is because I know Miss Izagiri said it best. She said she wanted to make sure that she got this done by at least Wednesday so that Thursday she would know whether or not she wanted to attend the Zoom live training. Because, you know, if I'm sure that a lot of you, your preference would be social distance, and we want to respect that preference as much as possible. So not having to come in and do one-on-one meetings is obviously ideal. However, that is an option, as Ms. Shelton said in her video. You will have the ability to sign up in meetings of no more than 10 people. So that is also going to be sent out by administration. But that's the long and short of it. So if you still have questions, you need to come to the Zoom. You will get a email from administration with a video on how to join a Zoom. It is very, very easy, I promise. And then also you will get another email with a link to join the Zoom. And all you will have to do is click the link and you will be in. So that's it. Thank you for listening. And we hope that this helped you to at least get started on your distance learning journey.